was not.
Huh?
No lab.
Ma'am, only DSD 2 lab is there.
Which labs were there previous semester? EDC was there?
Yeah,
Yes,
DS,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Then?
And
Yes.
Data
Yes.
structures.
Huh?
Data structures. The data structures.
Data structure. So digital portion you didn't had.
No, ma'am. DSD we didn't have.
VHDL programming, you don't know then. VHDL or Verilog programming, you didn't read.
No, ma'am. No, no, ma'am.
Okay, then I'll give you the list of experiments. Try to note down that. From tomorrow, we'll be having the lab. Tomorrow, there will be introduction for your Verilog programming. VHDL is also a portion, but I think lab experiments, it won't be there, but for theory, it will be there. VHDL. Verilog, you'll be doing parallelly this programming and learning how to write the program and all. So let us have that as 4 sections, 4 portions. Okay, first set, note down. I'm not writing today. Note down. Development of Verilog models in data flow style. In data flow style. So under this, what were the combinational logic circuits that were dealt in your DSD1? You remember the list? We started with something like coding, decoding aspect, no? So
Yes,
take first experiment, you take it as a decoder. Two to 4 decoder and 4 to 16. 2 to 4, 4 to 16, data flow. Under data flow, first experiment is decoder, 2 to 4 and 4 to 16 decoder. Second one is 8 to 3 encoder, 8 to 3 encoder. What is the next major building block we have seen? Multiplexer. Four is to 1, 8 is to 1 multiplexer in the third experiment, that first 3, 1, 3. Next is 2-bit comparator. Next, 8-bit parity generator. 8-bit parity generator. You can call that as 8-bit parity checker also. Parity checking design. Next is half adder. Full adder full subtractor, half adder, full adder, and full subtractor. And one more adder will include, but that adder you can implement after the theory is covered. Okay, Coxstone adder. Eight-bit implementation. Coxstone adder, 8-bit implementation. How many? How many listed now?
9, ma'am.
Huh?
9.
11.
7? 7 or 8?
7, ma'am.
7. I think decoder, encoder, multiplexer, comparator, adder, subtractor,
Parity generator.
parity generator, Coxstone adder, I said. Coxstone adder. Okay. Then next set. Next set. That is the second set of experiments. Structural style of modeling. For developing eight is to 1, 16 is to 1, multiplexer using 4 is to 1 multiplexer. This is one set of experiment. So implementation of 8 is to 1 and your 16 is to 1 multiplexer using a lower level of 4 is to 1 multiplexer. This should be written in structural style. Next experiment. Implementation of ripple carry adder. Implementation of ripple carry adder using full adders. You can take a 4-bit implementation, 4-bit ripple carry adder design. Next one. Implementation of 8-bit adder using 4-bit ripple carry adder. 8-bit adder, that means this becomes a block adder. 8-bit adder using 4-bit ripple carry adder. Next one, implementation of 8-bit carry select adder. 8-bit carry select adder using 4-bit ripple carry adder. Next one, implementation of cascading concept. Implementation of cascading concept. Using 8-bit Coxstone or 8-bit Ripple Cardy, 8-bit Coxstone or Coxstone is KOGGE, Coxstone adder or 8-bit Ripple Carry adder to develop 16-bit full adder. Full adder in the sense that becomes a block adder once again. 16-bit full adder. Next one. Implementation of asynchronous 4-bit up-down counter. Implementation of asynchronous 4-bit up-down counter. Next one. Implementation of two-bit BCD adder. Implementation of 2-bit BCD adder. So all these are using the structural style of modeling. Next set, third set. Third set, behavior style of Verilog models. Behavior style of Verilog models. First one, for 4-bit carry look ahead adder. Eight-bit universal shift register. Four-bit carry look ahead adder. Edge triggered toggle and delay flip-flops.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the 8-bit universal part?
8-bit universal shift register. Eight-bit universal shift register. Then next is edge triggered toggle and delay flip-flop. Next experiment is 16-bit synchronous, asynchronous up and down counter with clear and load controls. With clear and load controls. So this experiment includes all types of your counters, that is up down counting in both the synchronous and asynchronous. That means you should be writing them separately. One set of up down counter in asynchronous mode, one set of up down counter in synchronous mode, which is having both asynchronous this load and clear controls. This is your total truth table implementation. Fourth set. Fourth set, last one. Implementation of first one, serial adder. Second one, 16-bit modified Booth's multiplier. Third one, 16-bit Vedic multiplier. Fourth one, 32-bit MIPS processor, MIPS. MIPS processor. By developing the Verilog models using top-down design style. Using top-down design style. These are the rough set of experiments that you can have as of at this beginning stage. If any experiments are needed, that will be added in between. Okay, so what is the prerequisite for this? Again, all the experiments happens to be the DSD-1 syllabus related. One or two topics will be dealt in DSD2, that is your Coxstone adder, your Booth's multiplier, or your Vedic multiplier sort of thing. That is your DSD2 syllabus, but major portion is your DSD1. That's why I was telling your sequential designs has to be refreshed again. You have to learn it again if you have to write these models, because I think you are not introduced for your VHDL programming, no? Nowhere you had this VHDL aspect.
No.
Anyone knows? Anyone knows VHDL?
No, ma'am.
No. So this is a hardware description language where V stands for VH SIC, very high speed integrated circuits. VHSIC, very high speed integrated circuits, hardware description language. Okay, why I'm not starting straight away with the DSD2 theory is that we need refreshing all the aspects of DSD1 designs there, where that will be carried to your DSD2. Okay, you will be learning little bit in depth of how you will be handling the pitfalls that are there, or what are the other methods of designs for designing the same circuits. Okay, what is the flexibility you are having in these designs? So ultimately, when you people are into the industry, or you people are into the designing aspect, so which method you can choose for giving you a better result of the design? So that aspects we'll be seeing now in DSD2. Okay, I hope yesterday I have shown you the syllabus. Once again, I'll show it. Okay, so according to the syllabus, what you can see here, this will be basically dealing with what are the different styles of or the different approaches of designing the circuits. Okay, I think this top-down and bottom-up, some skeleton aspect we have seen in DSD1, saying that if it is top-down, you'll be chopping that design into some a smaller segments where an individual can manage that as a separate entity. Okay, so that aspect in depth we try to see. In depth in the sense how exactly your designs can be split, or how exactly you can group that into bottom-up thing. Okay, but most prominently, the word top-down is only seen here, not the bottom-up. Bottom-up is
సెకండ్ డోస్ పుట్ర 3 months తర్వాత అవునంట
3 months ఉంటుంది.
what happened. Hi Shiva, mute yourself. Yeah, these aspects of something like top-down approach or bottom-up approach, if you take, which one will be giving you a, what you say, a faster design, or what you say, it narrows down to a final end product that has to be decided by the designer. So it is to the left to the choice of the designer whether he chooses that as a top-down format or bottom-up format. Like if a designer is attempting for bottom-up format, what is bottom-up or top-down? A question is coming now. What is top-down or bottom-up approach?
Is it counting from the top? Top down means counting up from the top.
That
And
is counter. That is counter. The approach of the design, I think top-down approach and bottom-up approach, I have pronounced these terms in DSD1.
Top-down approach, you need to slice the entity into smaller entities.
That means the complexity of the design is very huge. If a designer is not in a position to handle that as a one single design, that design can be split. Sliced means splitting that into some lower level of complex segments, such that the complexity will be in a manageable size by the designer, and they can mold that smaller segment, and after they get a satisfied result, what they do, all these smaller segments will be grouped together to form the final top entity. That means the final bigger complex design. Okay, that is your top down. That means slicing means it's not that I slice as I like. It should be something, a meaningful, what you say, division. Meaningful division in terms of either its functionality slicing, or you say the complexity, the size slicing, or what you say, the function size, or how many functions that design is handling. Are you slicing that into individual functions and again designing that and combining that to form the multiple function design sort of thing? That aspect, okay, maybe a person who knows little bit about the designs, they can start with top down, but someone who starts, or someone who tries to take a bottom up approach, the reverse one is that the designer should be knowing every content of the design there. Or that means something like, yes, you have some logic available already available in the digital design. Okay, you can pick that logic and you can put that into your design. Okay, that sort of something like trial and error sort of analysis should be done. Who can do this analysis is the person who knows that this type of logic is already available, readily available as a design in the library of the digital designs. And that design, how far that can be integrated or how far that design can be taken into his own design has to be judged. His judgment will be relying on the knowledge the designer has regarding that logic. That means something like, say, for DSD2, I'm saying DSD1 is prerequisite. That means from DSD1, we will be knowing what are the designs that are available for us. From that, we try to pick some elements and we try to integrate and we try to develop the bigger designs that are possible, like higher complexity designs. Say this list itself is giving you the second chapter and third chapter, if you can see. Something like traffic light controller, vending machine controller, or MIPS processor is there, or take this fourth chapter. Different types of multipliers are there, or your ALU circuit, that means arithmetic logic unit, means it's not single function, no? It's having adders, subtractors. Your yes, Sai Santosh raised your hand. Any doubt? Okay, all this.
It as well.
All these elements, like something like you are taking the multiplier element or your ALU element, these needs some what you say, lower level of designs, so that you can integrate them. You can I think we had seen this point of what is integration, taking some other lower level of designs or some other logic incorporated into the major design. That will take some prerequisite. A knowledge is needed. You need to know what is already available. Why we need to know that is in order to save the time. Unnecessarily already available designs, instead of taking them, importing them, again sitting and redesigning, means it's waste of time. Rather, you can concentrate that on to the design, what is not available or what is new as a logic, you have to do it afresh. Okay, so for that, we need to know all the designs that are available. So that's what I'm saying. I'm insisting. Again, you go back to your DSD1, take out all the syllabus that is there, concentrate more on your sequential portion and the logic's basic building blocks. Sequential portion and the basic building blocks. Again, you refresh that. From that, we try to develop these designs now. At least 20 to 30% repetition will be there, where that designs will be taken into our designs afresh now. Okay, and the portion shown here, I'm saying this is only the design portion given. After doing some what you say base level of design, you have something called as firm defined elements or user defined elements. Okay, something like if a function, something like if a function or a logic is already fixed by the manufacturer himself, that we call it as the factory defined or the manufacturer defined device. Can you mention any such device, digital device? That means the user won't be in a position to manipulate that, but he will be in a position to use it only. Factory defined devices, factory defined elements. Can I say calculator is factory defined?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Yes, ma'am.
the functions of your calculator, that means calculating your trigonometric values, calculating the square root, multiplying, addition, subtraction, the definition of that is already defined by the manufacturer. Only at the user end, what the people will do is the user will be using that function, that's all. Predefined function, which is already fixed, will be defined or used by the user repeatedly, but there is no provision for the user to change that. Manipulation is not possible. Okay, that so user defined or user user end defined elements are there, wherein a product will be released into the market, and after that is reaching the user end, until the user is fixing the parameters or the functions, it won't be complete. Okay, some flexibility is given to the user. So we have different types of such devices, user defined or factory and defined, but ultimately when some product is to be released into the market, some element of testing has to be done. Whether it is user defined or factory defined devices, there should be testing done. What will be the testing means, or what is exactly done under the process of testing? Can you mention anything by at least putting your senses saying that, okay, these will be the designs, what should be tested and all? For what you need to test, or say something like designing means testing or designing means development?
Designing means
Development.
Development.
Developing the logic. Okay, once you develop the logic, that means you are not using that, or you're not developing directly as a hardware, but rather you are developing that on a software platform, something like simulations you are doing, logical simulations you are doing. Once you need to take it as a developed or end defined product into the market, there needs a media, or what you say, in between stage to authenticate that that design is ready for release into the market. That means testing. Developing is one portion, releasing that into the market is next portion. In between that, testing is needed always. What type of testing is done? What type of testing is needed is whether the circuit is functioning as per the specifications is one test. Whether the circuit is functioning, or something like what you say, timing analysis, we say. Functionality analysis, timing analysis. Functionality means the operation is performed as per the needed parameter, There's something like our input output sort of thing, specifications we can say. The other thing is, what is the speed? Timing analysis means whether there is any lag or whether there is any something like what you say, synchronization problems, functionality problems, all this. Like tests will be done at different levels on different parameters. Okay. When your design is ready means that the functionality test is perfect, the timing analysis is perfect, then only that will be ready to be prototyped and again tested. What is the meaning of prototype? Before releasing that into a bulk or huge number, after simulation, doing the simulation analysis and all, okay, software simulation will be done. Then if some satisfied results are achieved, whether taking that as the timing analysis or your functionality analysis, a prototype will be developed. That means a sample will be developed, and again that will be tested. That is proper, then it will be released bulk into the market. Maybe these are the say broad steps that you can take, the broad steps of designing and what you say, fixing that into the market. Okay. And here, what are the different types of tests that can be performed, or how exactly a design has to be tested, or what are the methods of testing? Is that needed by the user to test, or is that needed by the manufacturer to test? Should the manufacturer test the device or user will be testing?
Manufacturer.
Manufacture mostly.
Manufacturer.
Both. I say both because what is the portion of manufacturer is that he should assure that the product released into the market should be functioning properly. That means timing analysis, functionality test is over. Okay, satisfied, the release. That means that test will be done by the manufacturer. But later portion is that when you are repeatedly using the device, their life or what you say, the malfunctioning that is happening because of repeated usage, or what you say, the aging and all, that test also has to be done. Okay, so the maintenance people will be again doing some tests, something like whether there is a fault at that means where the fault has happened, how the fault has happened, or can that fault be what you say, repaired, or is it to be dismantled? That sort of analysis again will be done at the maintenance level, or you can say after the manufacturer testing. That is your user and element. So all these elements we need to see in this DSD2 now. That means for this, something like how far we have seen in DSD1 is the concepts we have seen. What is an encoder, or what is a multiplexer, or what is an adder, what is a comparator, some sort of logical learning we have done. How you will be putting that as a design, this logic, how I can develop into a hardware, what are the methods I have, that will be done or that can be seen in this DSD2. See, never any designer will attempt straight away designing the hardware. Okay, rather we try to depend on the CAD tools, computer aided design tools. Plenty number of tools are available in the market. Okay, where we will be writing the what you say, the logical programming sort of thing, or what you say, the behavior programming sort of thing, or the structure programming sort of thing, and we try to develop the prototype. That means software element only. We try to test that, and then we try to develop the prototype. See, the basic rule for a designer is you start designing something, somewhere you feel that you are getting deviated from the specifications, or you are getting deviated from the needed outputs. What is the best thing that a designer can think of is that instead of pondering upon the reasons what made the output to deviate, better you come back to the initial stage, again you redesign. That is what is a basic rule that any designer has to remember. Let it be a small design or let it be a complex design, confidently you'll be starting the design. Okay, somewhere you feel that your outputs are not up to the mark, or your outputs are getting deviated, or your design is corrupted. Now, naturally, people start thinking of maybe if I correct at this stage, maybe I'll get the output, or if I redo this stage, maybe I'll get the output, or some adjustments I do, I'll get the needed output. That becomes a temporary relief. But a permanent solution is that rather than hanging on at that stage, come back to the initial stage, again afresh you start that. This element is what is we are calling it as proper division of your design into a hardware portion and a portion which controls this hardware. You would understand what I'm saying? Your design can be divided into two major segments. Something like a hardware, that means the total physical element, and what are the signals that will be controlling these physical elements. That means hardware and the controller. Or else the other name you can give is hardware, you can call it as architecture. And the controller, we call it as algorithm, control algorithm. Your hardware will not be having any self-defined signals there. It will accept whatever the signal that is being given to it, and it will act according to the the commands or the controls or the inputs that you are giving, and it generates the output. But there should be one person or one element which guides what to be done, or what should be your next iteration, or what to be done at the next step. That is one we define it as the controller. Controller is nothing but something like sequenced signals, we can say. You can correlate this to your state machines. What is that state machine thing we have seen? State machine, something you had input, you had some present state. Based on that input and present state, you were defining the output and the next state. Na? And were your next state and output be same if the input is same? In your state machine, I'm asking, will your next state and the output of the system will be same at any instant if the same input is given?
No, I think.
No, ma'am, it depends on the state of the machine.
It depends on what is the present state now. That means
Yes, ma'am.
what is the present condition that your hardware is in. Now you put that into your architecture and your controller portion. Hardware is not going to change. That is your ICs or cluster of the components. No? That is not going to change. But what makes this output to change is that what is the status your hardware is in, and what is the type of input you are giving in. The combination of this status and your input defines what should be the next value of your output and where the next state it should go. That means this is something like a controlled aspect. What to be given is defined much expertise. It's not as simple as we are saying now. You need some expertise in defining the block of the hardware and defining the block of the controller. See, there is no relation between this hardware and the controller. In the sense, controller doesn't speak of what is the hardware to which it is generating the signals. Controller never speaks of the hardware, and your hardware never speaks of the controller. There is no link between these two, but if you group these two, your design is formulated. Got this? Like, that means you can refine your controller independently, you can refine your architecture independently. It is not going to affect mutually. Rather, as a designer, you have to decide what best hardware I can integrate to get 100% or near to 100% efficient design. For that, what should be my signals that has to be tied to my hardware? With these two, you can judge properly, your designs are complete. Now, what I was telling is, you divided that hardware and controller, okay, according to your knowledge or according to your background, whatever you know, with the knowledge what you have, you start designing. But somewhere you feel that when you're giving a control input, your output is not according to the needed transitions or according to the needed outputs, then the best thing is, instead of finding out the faults, try to come back, redefine this hardware and architecture. Redefine the hardware and architecture instead of searching there and then itself, if I change the control signals, or if I change this block, or if I do this manipulation, I'll be getting the output. All that things we say, those are tricks. Never use any trick here in digital designs. That gives only a temporary relief or temporary correction. But long run, you won't get an output which is sustained. That means you won't be standing in the market as a successful designer. You need to find out the permanent solutions rather than thinking of for a temporary outputs or temporary corrections. That is the one good basic rule that a designer has to keep it in mind. Never try to use tricks. Never try to use tricks in your designs. Then, top down or bottom up is the decision of the designer. If the designer is well experienced and know that these are the designs available in the market and these are the designs that are useful into the new design that is going to be implemented, then straight away he can jump for a bottom up. But rather, a good designer will start from the top down. Whether he is experienced or a beginner, they should start from the top down. Then once they try to segment the elements, then they can think of about the already available designs in the market. Then they can plan for integrating that to develop that segment. That means divided segment. That is a good designer approach. A good designer approach. Okay. Now this controller portion, what we are saying, like which controls the hardware and all, is nothing but your ASMs, the algorithmic state machines. See, that comes in your first chapter itself. You see, top-down approach, separation of controller and architecture. That's what I was telling till now. Controller and architecture. Architecture is your hardware. Controller is the controlling segment. That means sequenced signals. Okay, and how you refine these two. And what is the portion that will be defining the signals that has to be generated is your controller we are saying. That controller can be designed, or that controller is nothing but your state machine. Algorithmic state machine. ASM stands for algorithmic state machine. State machines we have seen. That means state tables we have seen. Yes, that state tables we were having the idea in point of present state, inputs, outputs, next state sort of thing. Here, this ASM, you have little bit, what you say, flexibility in representation. Flexibility is there. Once we start that, we can see what is the flexibility you have in that. So this ASMs will be defining the controller portion. ASMs defines the controller portion. Okay, architecture defines your hardware. And what are the approaches you have for modeling, or what you say, synthesizing the designs using these ASMs? Many approaches are there. Okay, like one more question is that in your synthesis of your combinational designs or sequential designs, what are the rules that we have seen? You remember them? The rules of synthesizing combinational and sequential. What was the first step in combinational or sequential?
Verbal description.
So trying to understand the problem statement, the description of the problem. Okay, after that,
State table or state diagram.
yeah. If it is a combinational, we said a truth table sort of thing. If it is a sequential, we said state table. Yes. Something, what is that exactly your state table or truth table will be giving you? Is it defining a hardware? Truth table or your state table, will that define hardware?
Equations.
No, it will define the net list. That means inputs and outputs now. Your truth table or your state table, they are defining only the inputs and outputs now. They are not speaking like this is a AND gate, or this is NAND gate, or this is the adder, or this is subtractor. It's not speaking like hardware there. The table defines you what are the elements of the design, the signals that are considered as the inputs and outputs of the design. That is your truth table and state table. From that, we define the next steps. Something like we define Boolean equation. Yes. In your combinational or sequential, say if you take truth table, you are defining a Boolean equation. If you are taking a state table, you are again defining the equations in terms of say excitation format, or in terms of the state variables, capital Y, small y. You remember them? State variables were there. Capital Y, small y. That is your next state versus present state and input. All those are Boolean equations. No? That was your second step. Defining your truth table or state table. Next is defining the Boolean equations or the design equations. In between, you had many steps. Something like redundancy check was there, minimization was there, all this stuff is there. And finally, the hardware, either implementing a delay flip-flop or a normal logic, what you say, logics of AND or NOT sort of thing for combinational, and for sequential using flip-flops or combination of AND or logics and all. That was your final step. So in these three steps, what I'm saying, the first one is identifying your net list, defining the truth table or your state table. Second is Boolean equations. The third one is hardware, I'm saying. So these three becomes what are the list what we are giving in the lab also. That data flow style of approach, structural style of approach, and behavior style. 3 I have given the titles. If you check back your list, data flow, structural, and behavior. Did I mention that list of experiments?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So your structural means that is the last step. Structure means you are implementing with a lower level of logics that are available. Something like say hardware, if half adder to full adder if you take. Full adder is one logic where I want to implement that full adder. I can take the help of already designed half adder. Already designed half adder, if I integrate, that becomes structural. That means already developed structure, if I take and integrate, get the major design, that is structural style we say. We are not defining how it is functioning, or we are not defining how the input is flowing to the output. Already designed element is there, lower level design, that we take and integrate, that becomes structure. But that means that for structural style of modeling, designer should be knowing the lower level structure, that means lower level hardware, its functionality, its operation, its output input relation, everything A to Z of that should be known. Okay, only that will be called into the major design, importing, that is structural style. Whereas data flow is that the input and output, how your input is beginning from its in point and ending at the out point. That means input traveling to the output, in its path, what are the transitions of logics that are happening? That will be defined as the data flow. So as simple as say, if you are taking the sum and carry equations, the sum and carry, you have two equations there. You are defining the sum as one output, carry as another output, whose values are depending on the inputs of your xy, or whatever you are mentioning, a, b, or xy, the inputs. Na? Say sum, you are taking x or y, x exclusive of y. XOR operator of the two inputs is sum, and operator of two inputs is carry. It's a half adder I'm speaking. Should be visualizing, you should be remembering all these equations now. That means what we are speaking there is how that input x or y we are taking is flowing to the output as sum and carry. What is the relation? What is the relation of this input to your output? That is what we call it as data flow. That data flow linking will be using the basic operators. That means AND, OR, NOT, XOR, XNAND, comparator, everything. Any basic operators. That means the Boolean equation. The Boolean equation is nothing but your data flow. You know the Boolean equation, you are ready to write your program in data flow. If you know the structure, if you know the hardware, you are ready to write the programming in structural style of modeling. The other style, what we have is behavior style. What does your truth table tell? It has the list of inputs and outputs. Na? If the input is 0, 0, say 2 input, 1 output system I am speaking. If the input is 0, 0, then output is this. Else, if the input is 0, 1, output is so and so. Else, if the input is 1, 0, output is so and so. Else, that means if then else statement. Truth table, can I speak that in that format? Yes or no? Truth table, you have conditions there, input conditions and output generated. We say that if the input is so and so, output will be so and so. Or else, if the input is so and so. That means we are defining the behavior. If the input is like this, the output will be like that. Or else, if the input is like this, that means all your truth table is defining that 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 format is defining the conditions now. If these two inputs are 0, 0, output will be 1. If these two inputs are 0, 1 or 1, 0, output will be 0. That format, if you are giving, you are defining the behavior of the design. That means behavior won't speak about hardware. Behavior speaks about the conditions. Data flow also don't speak about the hardware. It speaks about the logical relation. Your structure speaks about what are the components there in your design. All these three, if you put, you will be ready for writing the programs. That means what are the things that are to be known to you to begin this lab or writing the programs is complete data of truth tables or state tables, complete data of the Boolean equations of that designs, complete data of the structure means nothing but circuit diagram. Structure is nothing but circuit diagram. Know about your truth table, state table, or Boolean equations relating that, or the circuit diagram. If these three are known, you will be ready for writing the Verilog or VHDL programming. VHDL or Verilog programming needs the information of these three now. So from now, you start reading them again and again and again until you learn something there, until you can write a program on your own. Okay. So tomorrow there will be an introduction for Verilog, and I'll send you the link to your CRs. And the evaluation is like this. Every week you need to submit the evaluated result of the experiment along with the code and along with the explanation written. Say an experiment is asked to write a behavior style of a full adder is asked to say. That means you need to write the Boolean behavior style means you need to write the truth table and you need to give the logic of that design and what is the code you are writing for implementing that experiment and what is the result you got. That has to be submitted. Each and every experiment will be evaluated for 10 marks. Each and every experiment. That will be averaged. So if you are submitting 15 experiments, 15 will be average. If you are submitting 1 of 15 also, it will be evaluated for average of 15 only. If you submit for 10 out of 15 also, it will be evaluated, but for 10 of 15. So how many you are completing and how many you are submitting will be giving you a weightage there. So every week there will be assessment done for each and every set of experiments that you are representing there. Okay, almost 6 to 8 people will be handling the lab, including the faculty and the research scholars. Almost 6 to 8 of us will be there, so that we'll give you like to whom you have to submit the experimentation, your results and all for evaluation. Okay. So today I'll stop this. Tomorrow we'll have the lab in the afternoon session. I'll share the link to your CRs. Okay. And Dheeraj and Sai Varun, you just send me the Word file of the list of experiments dictated now.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then I'm closing the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, is there any doubt?